Who's ready to take their EFT tapping game to the next level? Can I get a woo 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 woo? You can woot woot with me by liking, commenting, or subscribing. Really, comment a woot woot. I'm here for it. Go. Okay, so what I want to talk about is taking your EFT tapping game to the next level. So if we're going to the next level, then I assume that you kind of know the base level, right? Which is scripting. You tap and you have a script of what you're going to say, and you go through and you say whatever that script is. There are books that have scripts in them. There are YouTube videos that have scripts in them. You can write your own script, but it's kind of a predetermined set of phrases that you're going to go through and tap with, right? So you know where you're going when you get started, which is not a bad thing. You can absolutely benefit from knowing where you're going. In fact, there's all kinds of benefits to the traditional scripting version of tapping. Whether you're short on time, it's great for if you're short on time and you just need to get in, get a result, and get back out and on with your life. EFT tapping with a script is a great way to do that. Another benefit of it is that it's repeatable. If you wanted to do it a couple days in a row, then it's really easy to look back and see how much progress you've made, especially if it's something that's taking a little bit longer for you to get the results that you want. Because you're using the same script, then it really gives you that contrast to where you started versus where you're at. So it can be really good for that. And just like anything that is a very definable problem where you know what the problem is and you know how you want to address it. Like one time I was really struggling to pack. I had to move, and packing, I hate packing for moving. I hate it so much. And I was struggling. Oh, I was struggling to make myself pack. So what did I do? I sat down and I EFT tapped on that resistance that I was feeling, just because I needed a real quick way to be able to move on and get done what I needed to do, right? So for those sorts of things, the scripted way of doing the EFT tapping can be absolutely invaluable. It can be great. But there's another way that I personally have used tapping, and I've not seen anybody really talk about it. They may. I'm not saying they don't, but I just personally haven't seen them if they do. So what I like to do is I like to do intuitive tapping. And basically, I will start out with a problem that I may not really know how to go about addressing it. I don't really know what's causing the problem, and I will tap through that. And I'll, rather than having a predetermined, defined script where I know where I'm going, I leave that very open. And I just follow wherever the tapping takes me, basically. If it's like as I'm tapping through, sometimes I'll have just different thoughts come to the surface, or I'll have certain feelings in my body that will come up, and I'll tap on those and just focusing on it. And it's kind of like you just tune in and you listen to yourself, and you listen to what your body, what your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, what are they trying to tell you? And it helps bring it to the surface. Once that has then been identified and that has been brought to the surface, then it's much easier to work through that and move it on through your system and let it go. That way, if you have something that is really holding you back on a deeper level, you can let it go. You identified it, you tap through it, and you let it go. And the cool thing about tapping is that while you can focus it on one specific thing, you will oftentimes find that it releases a lot of other stuff just by default. Like once you get that energy flowing through your system and everything is flowing, then everything's flowing. And you'll find that stuff is just, like, in general, easier for you. One of the ways that EFT tapping intuitively really changed my life was that I inadvertently opened up my crown chakra. I didn't know what chakras were back then. I didn't know what any of that was. But there was one day that I was tapping on a romantic connection that had not worked out, and it was not sitting well with me. And I was trying to process my emotions on that. And I ended up tapping into something. I ended up tapping into something that just unleashed this huge movement of energy, and I started sobbing. I was crying hysterically as I worked through these like feelings that this brought up, and it was completely unrelated to the guy. Like the guy that I was like tapping on, absolutely, we ended up going to a place that he didn't matter at all because he was never the problem, right? It was always just my perception of it that was what was causing me issues. So I tapped through that, made this huge movement of energy. And then like I felt, oh my goodness. It probably took me, I was probably tapping for an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. It's been a while, so I don't remember. This happened quite a while ago. But I do remember how much I sobbed, and I remember how deep that release went. And I remember that after that, it was like everything up here felt much more clear and open. And then that was when, not that immediate moment, but from then on, I started having these weird things happen to me. And then I found out that I had opened my crown chakra, and that's what inevitably led to me. It paved the way for me to becoming the energy aware person that I am today, 5 years later. So, yeah, it can really take you places that you do not expect it to go. And then when you get there and you start tapping and you start moving this energy and these blocks and all this stuff starts clearing out, then you have the big shifts. The big shifts. And you have to be ready for them. Because, I mean, these shifts that can occur when you tap on something and you hit that and you hit the block and you release it, and suddenly you have that surge of energy moving, oh man. Like, seriously, you have to be ready to handle that. Because, I mean, everything changed for me. Again, that guy was completely inconsequential to my story, other than the fact that the interaction that we had made me, like, face the feelings that I was having about the situation. That was it. But once I faced those feelings, and I unlocked that energy, and then my crown chakra opened, and then, again, had no idea what a crown chakra was, wasn't trying to open it, I was just trying to feel better. I was just trying to stop having internal meltdowns about people that were inconsequential, right? I was trying to deal with my own personal stuff, and what I ended up doing was I ended up just unleashing everything. And that is what led to me from then, on. I started seeing way more synchronicities than I was used to, and all this stuff started building up, and then before you know it, I had like my big major where I was suddenly everything was just crazy. I'll tell you guys that story someday, maybe. It's intense. But it was overnight. Not the tapping, but eventually the tapping led to a literal overnight of just everything all at once. So I think that intuitive tapping can be extremely useful. It's not always going to be that dramatic. That one tap, I've tapped a lot, right? I've had a lot of great experiences from tapping. That one tapping session is the only one that was that extreme as far as opening everything after everything cleared out. But intuitive tapping has led me to other things. Like I mentioned in an earlier video, how intuitive tapping led me to realize that I was using poverty and failure as a cloak to try to make sure that I didn't inadvertently offend anybody, or make anybody feel inferior in any way. I was people pleasing unconsciously by cloaking myself in poverty and failure, and that's not what I want. That's not good. That's not what I want. It's not helpful for anybody, because really it doesn't help those people either. Those people, if they feel inferior by other people's success, that's something that they need to go in and tap on. They can tap on their own issues there. So it's not my place to make sure that I keep myself small to make other people feel good, right? And I never would have realized that was sitting at the root of my issues with money if I had not done an intuitive tapping session that allowed me to work through these feelings, find that, uncover it, and then tap to release it. So that's why I think intuitive tapping can be so beneficial. Scripting has its place, it can be great. Intuitive tapping, if you really want that deep dive, make sure you've got some time carved out, because once you get going, you have to keep going. You can't just cut it off in the middle and leave. I actually would strongly discourage you from getting into these emotions, getting into that place where you're shifting that energy, and then just getting up and walking away while you're still in the middle of that. That would, I don't know what would happen, but I'm gonna venture out on a guess that would not be good. So you want to make sure that you have enough time carved out to really allow this entire thing to process. Once you get in it, you got to keep going. You got to keep going until you hit it. You'll feel it in your system when you feel that click, when you feel that release, when you kindly, it's like you can breathe. But you'll feel it. I'm telling you, get in there, try it, you'll see what I mean. And then once you feel that, then you can start to program in what you want. All right? You're like, okay, you release it, and then you start to program in your new belief system that you want. And tap on through that. And then once you feel you've reached an appropriate tapping end, then you can stop. But again, make sure you have the time for it. Make sure you're not going to be disrupted. Like, try your best. Put your phone on silent. Try to be in the room by yourself. I realize if you have a family and other people in your house that rely on you, that may be difficult, but just try your best. If you have someone that can watch your kids for a little bit while you work on this, or just let your significant other know, like, hey, I'm going to be working on some things. Please don't bother me for the next little bit. But then go in when you start tapping on the issue. It can be, again, something, even if you just feel it in your body. Sometimes even just bad feelings in your body can be an underlying thing that once you start tapping in and you feel it, just allow yourself to go wherever you need to go. And remember, keep going. Keep tapping. Don't stop. Keep going until you've released it and it's all gone. And then once it's gone, program in the new stuff, and then you can go talk to people and go back to being social if you want to. The other thing I would recommend is that when you're doing these major energetic shifts, it can come with side effects, kind of. Some people feel bloated or gassy after doing it. Some of the energetic shifts that I've had have been such massive shifts that, like, I lost like 4 pounds overnight, and I was like, this is weird. What? Okay. don't tap being like, I'm gonna lose 4 pounds tonight. I'm gonna lose 4 pounds tonight. Don't do that. It's just gonna be a side effect, okay, if it happens, okay? You may also feel really hungry, and if you are, that's okay. You should eat some food. Try to make it healthy. Try to make it unprocessed and healthy, right? Make sure you drink lots of water, because you're gonna flush your system. So drink lots of water, get lots of rest, and just like listen to your body and listen to what you need, because you just made a major energetic shift. So make sure that you listen to your body. If you need to cry, I always have tissues on hand when I'm doing EFT tapping sessions, just in case. Sometimes I'll bring a whole roll of toilet paper, because you never know how much you're gonna cry. So box of tissues, roll of toilet paper, whatever you need, so you're not, gross. so you don't get gross while you're tapping. But yeah. So one other thing, if you're tapping for so long and you start to get sore on the tapping spots, sometimes you're tapping and your face is like, please quit touching me. You've touched me so much, please stop. You can always switch to the other side, okay? And sometimes I will do like one side for releasing what I want to release and the other side for programming in what I want to program. It doesn't really matter. You can do whichever one you want. Sometimes I take a little bit of EMDR style and I will go through there. And again, I don't know a lot about EMDR, but like on the dual points, it gets a little funny right here because you're like, so anyway, the main thing is that you want to listen to yourself, right? So people that give suggestions, we're just that. We're people that give suggestions. You ultimately listen to yourself, you make your own determination, and we're just guides. So these are guidelines. Find what works for you. Make sure that you listen to your body, listen to your intuition, listen to anything that's coming up, process whatever you need to process. If you need additional support with processing things, absolutely get it. Sometimes it's beneficial to go to a therapist, have a therapist to help you process things that are really deep emotionally. Go to acupuncture. Acupuncture is amazing, and it got me through some of the worst times in my life because I couldn't tap. It was too much for me to tap, so I went to acupuncture, and that is what kept me going. Do massage therapy is really good for helping move stuff through your system. Reiki, there's nothing wrong with getting extra support if you need extra support. But if you just want to deep dive and try to work on some stuff yourself, EFT tapping is a really great way to do that. So listen to you. You are the person in charge. Listen to you. Like, comment, subscribe. Please comment. Nobody talks to me. I've been making videos now. This is like my 6th video. And I've had one commenter and I was so excited. Please talk to me. Okay. And you can like and you can subscribe. And yeah.